You are now listening to The Paul Wedding Show. Call 248-848-1310 with your thoughts and questions. The Paul Wedding Show.
Welcome to the Paul Wedding Show. Saturday, November 24th, 2012. I'm your co-host, Ray Parnello, in studio here with Paul Wedding. Working on a little bit of technical issues here. And it's good to have you folks. Hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. And enjoy this holiday weekend. We're joined... Well, today we're going to talk about some serious issues. I want to give out the phone number. It's 248-848-1310. Call in, have an opinion, make a point, ask a question. We're going to have a couple experts on cyber crimes, more particular online predators. We have Sheriff Anthony Wickersham, Macomb County Sheriff Anthony Wickersham in the studio. Sheriff, it's good to see you.
Well, thank you for the invitation to come on out and talk about this important topic.
Mm-hmm. And congratulations on the re-election.
Thank you.
I know that I voted for you, and all my family did. And you've done a great job in Macomb County, and we're pleased. We feel safe. We're glad to have you as our sheriff again.
Well, I really do appreciate that, and I appreciate the people of Macomb County having the faith in me to continue on as their sheriff for the next 4 years.
Yeah. We're going to dive into this issue here about online predators, and it's becoming such a big, serious issue with all of this internet, Facebook, and cyber things and whatnot, and it's become so easy for these people to prey on young people, young boys and girls, and I was very, very happy to hear that you folks have formed a task force dedicated solely to online predators and catching them and putting them away. How new, I should say, is this task force?
Well, this task force has been in effect for about 8 years, and again, under former Sheriff Mark Hackle, we as investigators started to see the complexity of these, internet crime type investigations, and to have a regular detective bureau handle these type of investigations was very time consuming, and we felt that there was a need in Macomb County because of the internet, because of computers and technology being in every home, that we needed to form a task force that was specific to protecting the people while they are online. So we've been up and running for about 8 years. We had some participation from some local agencies and the FBI, which is still a big partner of our task force. But again, over the years, due to budgets, those officers were pulled out of the task force, put back out onto the road. But we've had a commitment, and right now we're still staffed with 6 full-time personnel from the sheriff's office.
I'm online. Hi, everybody.
Welcome, Mr. Wedding.
Little technical difficulty. How's everybody doing out there? I hope everybody had a terrific Thanksgiving. You are on with us till noon, and I imagine at noon the TVs go on, and Michigan, Ohio State today, huh?
Go blue.
Go blue.
See what happens.
We'll see what happens, but I don't want to interrupt the flow of this. I was talking with Sheriff Wickersham before we came on the air, and it was kind of neat. I called over to the Sheriff's Department last week because I was hoping to get somebody from law enforcement to join this program today, because a little bit later on, in about 15 minutes, we have a nationally known expert, Dr. Wendy Schwartz, in cybercrime, and she'll be coming on the show. But I contacted the Sheriff's Department, and I was pretty confident that we'd be getting somebody from the Sheriff's Department to come on and do the show. What I wasn't expecting was to have Sheriff Wickersham come in himself. So this is just an absolute treat. When I was when we were talking earlier, as I was doing the research on this, I was just boggled at what is going on in terms of these online crimes and these online predators and so on. And you guys were talking about the task force. Sheriff Wickersham, when, let's say, somebody comes up with a tip or something about somebody that might be prowling online, what happens at that point with the cyber task force right out of the gate, if it's something that you can talk about here?
Yeah, some of the, without giving away all the trade secrets, what we'll do is, the information will come in, and just like any investigation, is we try and to get involved in there. If it's in a chat room, there's no secret. There's law enforcement that are in chat rooms, and they're searching for those individuals that may be preying on our young children. If it's a certain site that they're going to go to, we're going to do some investigation and see what type of activity is going on there. And once we identify criminal activity being afoot in that chat room or in that site, then it's then that's when the investigators start working on the fact of trying to identify who's at the other end or who's on that keyboard.
Okay, you are on with the Paul Whiting Show. If you want to be a part of the discussion, please do so. You can call us at 248-848-1310. Again, that's 248-848-1310. You can email the show at thepaulwhitingshow@gmail.com. Again, that's thepaulwhitingshow@gmail.com. Sheriff, I don't think that in situations like this, there's no such thing as being too careful if you're a parent. And what I mean is, let's say there's a forum, or when you were just mentioning a chat room, we'll say about a child star like Justin Bieber, for example, Bieber, whatever that kid's name is.
Bieber.
The Biebs.
The Biebs.
Big fan. The Biebs.
My wife and stepdaughter went to the show.
Okay, so that's great.
In these chat rooms, should parents just go in assuming, or at least having the notion that there is a predator online at that time?
I all parents, and again, we're not trying to scare, because the internet is a wonderful place. There's a lot of research that can be done, and there's a lot of good that the internet has brought to all of us. But what the parents have to understand is that every time their child sits in front of a computer, there is that potential threat that there is somebody out there that may be wanting to get close to them, wanting to meet them, and wanting to harm them in some way. So now it's us as parents that have to protect our children when they're on the internet.
Yeah, I'm probably like every other uncle. I have two of the most beautiful nieces. They're intelligent kids, they're smart kids, they're polite kids. But when the other day, it was Thanksgiving, and I was at the house, and I said, Allie, Mary, and they had some friends over. I said, I want you to listen to this program today, because this is a very important program. Yeah, okay, text me, Uncle Paul. No, I'm not texting you. I'm telling you. How do we get through to the kids that that this is something that they really need to take heed to and listen?
Well, you know what? It's got to start at the young age. It's got to start when they first sit down, and you're going to give them those privileges to get on the internet and do some research or play some games out there or email their friends back and forth, or another big thing is the Skype. They can get their list of friends and they can talk, and if they have the camera, they can see each other. As parents, once our kids start getting involved in that internet, it is our responsibility to make sure that they're safe. And how we do that is we have to be parents. We have to ask the questions. We have to tell them, this internet, it's not a right, it's a privilege. So as a privilege, you're going to be able to use the internet, you're going to be able to talk to your friends and send pictures and that, but you know what? I want to see what you're doing. So I want your password. Yeah. We have to have a friend, we have to have some type of trust relationship.
Sure.
And I'm not doing it to spy on you and see who your boyfriend or girlfriend is or what you're saying. I'm doing it to protect you.
Yeah, and you used the word responsibility for parents, and that's a very true word here, is responsibility.
Yeah, and when the kids are young, they don't know how to protect themselves, and it's it's up to the parents to use privacy blocks. It's put the computer in a common area. That way they can see what's going on. I mean, 65% of offenders use victims' social network site to gain information about the victims, whether it be address, phone number, email address, the school they go to, family names, and most importantly, where they're at any given time. And it's amazing. You see these kids, and they'll type in, "I'm going to the movies tonight at 6, and I'm going to see this movie." And if there's a predator following them, they'll know exactly where they're at, right?
That is, again, looking at it from our children, and even from some of the adults of what we post publicly, that people that we don't even know can see, is really alarming. And again, with our kids, they don't know better. I mean, they just think this is the way life is. This is they're in the technology age.
Kids, don't put your personal information on Facebook. Don't put your address. Don't put your phone number, and don't tell people where you're at. I know it's hard to do that. I mean, can't they set Facebook up to where it just goes to certain people and not the public?
Yeah, those are the ones that on Facebook that they can accept as friends. If most people, if they don't know, a minimum age to set up Facebook is 13. Okay. And Facebook does have some privacy settings between the age of 13 and 18 that parents should be aware of and learn how to set that up. And again, parents should take a look at every one of the friends that are on their children's Facebook page, and they should ask that question. Well, how do you know this individual?
Yeah.
And you got to become little detectives as parents. You got to find out if there's little Johnny's on there, and the answer isn't they don't go to school, and you can't find that individual in the yearbook, or you got to do a little bit more about who is this Johnny, and what's he all about, and why is he a friend of yours?
And don't put strangers on your friends list. Yeah. You have enough friends in your class, in your school, in your dancing, and in sports. You don't need to bring strangers into your friends list. And
that's true, but I guess I'm looking at it from the psychology of a child, the psychology of a child growing up. Kids need to be popular. They want to be popular.
Whoever has more friends on Facebook.
Look how many friends I have on Facebook. Yeah. And what kids don't understand, parents, is when they say I have 50 friends on Facebook, friendships are cultivated and developed over time. Yeah. These aren't these things that just happen on a computer. Anyway, if you want to be a part of the program, you can call us up at 248-848-1310. Sheriff, when we're talking about age groups here, it seems like these predators, when they're online with a kid, with a child, they talk to an 8 and 9-year-old. That kid is not going to understand. If they're talking to an 18-year-old, the 18-year-old is going to say, screw you. What is the age group that these cowards prey on?
You're looking between 12 and 16. You're looking at our middle school age children that are now becoming whether it's coming into puberty, and the men coming in, boys are coming into men and girls are coming into women, and they're impressionable. They're looking they want to be accepted, like we talk about. Is it going to be friends? They want the attention. Would it feel good that a boy, who they may think has an interest in them? Mm-hmm. That is what these predators are picking on.
Okay, on the other side of the break, more with Sheriff Wickersham, and we'll be bringing on Dr. Schwartz, who is on hold, calling us from Los Angeles. You're listening to the Paul Wedding Show here on AM 1310 WDTW. Don't go anywhere.
Don't stop. From the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, I'm Ira Dreyfus with HHS HealthBeat. Whatever happened to good old-fashioned play? As we grow up, being physically active often changes somehow from playing to exercising. Play is fun. Exercise, well, for many of us, that's not fun. And without play, we quit being active, so we get out of shape and start gaining weight. But new reports call on us to be physically active for the sake of our health. So what can we do? At the President's Council on Physical Fitness and Sports, Executive Director Melissa Johnson says it's simple. Get on your walking shoes and go for a walk, or do something else you enjoy.
A lot of sedentary or deconditioned people haven't yet experienced the good feeling of just movement. And once that becomes familiar to them, they don't want to stop.
Federal officials recommend 30 minutes of moderate activity on most, if not all, days of the week as a minimum for good health. HHS Health Beat is a production of the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. I'm Ira Dreyfus.
The following letters were written by our troops.
My dear fellow Americans, I truly appreciate your support. I was starting to wonder if people had forgotten about us over here. But then one of my buddies showed me this website. And now as tears are streaming down my face, I can see for sure that you haven't. Private Emily B., U.S. Army.
It's so heartwarming to see the American people not letting the men and women of the armed forces be forgotten. Your letters make a group of grown men, battle-hardened and gruff, act like a bunch of kids around a Christmas tree. Thanks. Staff Sergeant Matthew H., U.S. Army.
Your support may be the most important thing our troops can carry with them. But don't take our word for it. Take theirs. To show your support, visit americasupportsyou.mil. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Defense and the Ad Council.
All right, everybody, welcome back. You are listening to The Paul Wedding Show here on AM 1310 WDTW. I'm your host, Paul Wedding. Calling in from Los Angeles is Dr. Wendy Schwartz. Dr. Wendy Schwartz is one of the leading experts in cyberbullying and cyber crimes, and she is on the line, and we are going to bring her in now. Denny, hello, Dr. Schwartz, are you there?
Oh, hi, Paul. How are you? Thank you so much for having me.
Dr. Schwartz, it's a pleasure to have you on as well. To my right is my co-host, Ray Parnello.
Hi, Dr. Schwartz.
Hi, Ray.
And to Ray's right is our sheriff, our top cop, one of the best cops that I've ever met, Anthony Wickersham.
Hello.
Hi, Doctor. How you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. Very good.
The Macomb County sheriffs have their hands full, certainly with this issue. Dr. Schwartz, what we left with, we were talking about what are some of the behaviors, I guess, that parents could be looking for to try to detect if their kids are involved with or possibly thinking about conversations with these online predators.
You know, I think that it kind of goes back to Parenting 101, where you really have to have a good relationship with your kids. On my website, I just have a free download, and this isn't really to market my website so much.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, to educate parents on drwendyschwartz.com. I have a free, I think it's like 35 pages, and it's Teens and Technology, and it's about 5 simple steps to just communicating with your teenager, because technology is so huge now, and parents feel really out of control. So I could say this for just basic technology as well as all the red flag issues and the serious situations that we're coming across on a daily basis with, teens and technology. Some of the red flag issues, it's a really tricky thing right now because things look really subtle. And so someone who could be quiet or isolate a little bit, well, they could just be interested in doing technology. They could be avoiding school work. They could be, just really distracted with some interesting websites. However, you really want to look at level of functioning. So you want to look at things like sleeping patterns and eating patterns, isolation, withdrawal, lack of social interaction. You definitely want to look to see if grades have dropped. Sometimes, normally that could be a fluctuation in grades in middle school and high school. However, if you see dramatic highs or lows. Kids that look a little secretive. In teen world, that could just be normal, developmental. Anyway, but at the same time, my job is not to pathologize teenagers, but to really try to understand them. And I'm really grateful because over the past about 16 years, teenagers have educated me about how to connect with them. And there's a big debate in the mental health field as far as including technology into the therapeutic world, or to kind of confiscate it and set very firm boundaries and say you can't bring your iPad or your iPod or your phone, or you can't text. Boundary setting is important, but I feel like our teens, I could even say children too, latency age, we could even say toddlers, really know how to access the iPhone and maneuver their way around situations really well in cyber world. So, across all kind of developmental stages, I think that, in my ebook, I talk a lot just about the 5 steps of communicating with your child by observing them, educating them, setting rules and expectations, and really monitoring them, but observing them in an open way where they can educate us about, where they go in the cyber world. And you really want to look for their values, their morals, or ethics. Not only what you teach them, but like how are they walking their talk? You have some kids that can stick up for themselves and some kids that cannot. And so you want to be aware of the red flag issues. But also, our main problem is that kids are not speaking up. They're not asserting themselves. They don't even know if they have a choice in that. So they're very shut down and they're quiet. And then they kind of, spend their day going to school, being very quiet or isolating, and then coming home and jumping into cyberspace. And even if I call it the vortex, where kids are really lost in it. And I think even if they're being bullied or harassed or there's inappropriate behavior going on, they go to websites that they shouldn't be going to, or that they accidentally stumble upon. They're not speaking up. And so, it's the victim cycle all over again, where they don't really know they have a choice not to go there.
Sheriff?
Well, and that is exactly correct, is what Dr. Schwartz said. And, people ask our investigators, what are the signs? How can I tell if my child, is a possible victim or is potentially going to be a victim and has some type of relationship with somebody that they shouldn't have? And again, we, through our investigators, we send out some tips, and some of them are spending a lot of time on the computer, and especially at night, when they should maybe be doing homework or should be, preparing to go to bed, they're on that computer. Search the computer, see the sites that they've been at, see is there pornography on your, in your child's computer. Those are some of the red flags that start popping up. And again, your child becomes withdrawn, that the doctor spoke about. There's some indicators, but, it's going to, as a parent, you're going to have to ask a lot more questions and get involved. Yeah,
in this day and age, the parents obviously are the first line of defense against child internet victimization. The challenge, however, is the children are the digital natives, and the parents are the digital immigrants. And I a lot of these parents grew up, obviously they grew up with no computers, but these kids know a lot more about computers than they do. And to keep it simple, I think the parents just need to keep an eye on them at all times.
Right. And gentlemen, that's so interesting that you say that, because I think no matter how active you are as a parent, definitely there's active parenting and passive parenting. But no matter what, parents I work closely with all say, no matter how much they watch their child, teenagers, on the other hand, will tell me they go underground. So for one Facebook that they have, they actually, back a few years ago, they said, "Oh yeah, Wendy, we have, just one more Facebook my parents don't know about." Wow. Nowadays, it's 3 Facebooks. They have 3 dummy Facebooks and then 1 real one. So they add parents, they block parents. They'll the Facebook generation, is now translated. The average kid has about 3 or 4 different accounts, and a lot of those accounts parents don't know about. And I always teach parents about what's called a technology audit. And I made that up because I feel like at any time, parents who have open communication or are teaching open communication at any time should be able to, in a perfect world, pick up a cell phone or look through your website, look through your iPad, and just have the kids kind of educate you a little bit. Now, obviously in the teenage world, secrecy again, private, independent, they want to separate and individuate, and that's really healthy, and we need to respect that and help them. However, they're still minors, especially, where we have to teach them that, as adults, we still need to monitor and make sure and look out for their best interests.
Right.
And it's a tricky thing,
One of the things that, in matter of fact, that's what you were talking about too, Sheriff Wickersham, was parents needing to be open because these kids will go to the library.
Right. Again, let's face it. And the message to the parents are, if your child wants to have a Facebook account, they're going to have a Facebook account. Right. So we always suggest that start that trust with your child and allow them to have that Facebook Facebook page. But set the parameters, set it on your terms, have them set that up. Make sure you have the password, make sure that they friend you, and just let your child know, you're going to have trust in them, but you're going to monitor it. And it's not for spying on them, it's to protect them.
Now, I was speaking, I'm sorry, Doctor, I was speaking at in a lecture in Livonia not too long ago, and I was talking to a couple of parents after my speaking engagement ended, and they were telling me about their 14-year-old daughter. They said that this child's very polite. She's well-mannered. She does her schoolwork and so on. But what they noticed was she was becoming argumentative and those types of things with them, and they couldn't figure out why. What they did discover, I don't know how much longer it was their daughter was chatting with an online predator. Is this something that predators will do with their intended victims to try to put a wedge between the intended victim and their family?